As we head deeper into the second half of the year, August sees an uplift in game releases across the board. Today on Get Indie Gaming, here's a list of 10 indie games coming out this August 2019 you might want to check out.
Come, join us.
Let's get things started at number 10 with Church in the Darkness that launches August 2nd. Set within a religious cult in the late 1970s, having been labelled and feeling persecuted by the US government, the cult's leaders relocate their followers to the jungles of South America, where they intend to build Freedom Town, their socialist utopia. You play as Vic, a former cop who has snuck into Freedom Town in order to check up and save his nephew, who's been caught up with the cult. What fascinates me most about Church in the Darkness is the promise of a game with shifting goals, objectives, and the randomization of many other factors. For example, the personalities and aims of the cult leaders are said to change from game to game. You can use stealth or be more brazen about things, or a mixture of both, with you taking in what's going on with the cult by way of reading letters, talking to members, or listening to announcements over the camp's PA system. Naturally, your choices will change the direction of the narrative, so it's up to you in where you take the story, in what the developer hopes will give you a view of the goings-on from many perspectives. Church in the Darkness will be out on PC and all of the consoles. Up now at number 9, and 2 years after it was first shown at PAX West, we have a rather vividly colourful looking Exception, a platformer set within the innards of an elderly woman's virus-riddled computer. There is one twist here which makes Exception that little bit different, given it uses both 2D and 3D space within the game. As seen in the clip, when you touch one of those spheres, the whole level spins about, with left becoming right and up becoming down, amongst other things. While all this is going on, your player character is under constant bombardment, while also having to navigate various obstacles that litter the level. There's no mistaking Exception is quite the onslaught on the eyes and the ears, with it having over 2 hours of synthwave audio accompanying the game. Exception will land on the PC August 13th, with console releases expected at a time that's to be announced. Moving on up to number 8, and from the creators of the brutal and much loved web series played by millions, comes the newest installment of their hardcore reaction-based platforming series. Featuring more than 150 stages, full voice acting and huge boss battles, Never Give Up is a fiercely difficult platformer where players face levels packed full of traps and hazards designed by the developers, as they say, to turn your character into bloody chunks where a single mistake or mishap means you die. With its colourfully animated artwork, in-game costumes, collectibles and built-in split timers for speedrunners, Never Give Up will perhaps be the cause of many broken keyboards and Joy-Cons over the next few weeks and months. Never Give Up sprints onto the PC and Switch August 13th. At number 7, and on the date this video airs, Pine is listed on the Nintendo eShop as coming in August. That said, the Steam homepage still shows it as a generic 2019 launch timeframe. You may remember I covered Pine here on Get Indie Gaming in the first quarter of 2017, when I featured their Kickstarter here on the channel, where it brought in just over $135,000 US. Pine is an open-world action game set within an alternate reality where humans never made it to the top of the food chain, and where the world is stuffed full of animals and creatures that are smarter than the humans. You take on the role of Hugh, a smart young adult who's looking for a new home for their tribe to settle in. You'll find a world with 6 different biomes and a continuously evolving ecology and animal AI systems that adapt to your individual playstyles. It's widely ambitious, and having followed Pine for a good number of years, I'm certainly keen to understand and see how it plays when it's launched onto the PC and Nintendo Switch at some point in August. At number 6, and something a little bit different, Dry Drowning will appeal to fans of narrative-focused thrillers. taking place in the fictional northern European city of Nova Palomos, set in 2066. Dry Drowning is a psychological, investigative visual novel that follows the story of a shady private detective haunted by his past, where you're immersed within a series of brutal killings that are inspired by ancient Greek myths. The developers Studio V, or is that Studio 5, have expressed an aim to rejuvenate the visual novel genre, and in Dry Drowning they're looking to tell a compelling and mature story with heavy moral choices and more than 150 branching storylines with 3 distinctly different endings. There's clearly nods to LA Noire in here, together with other games where the narrative changes depend upon the choices made by the player. Life is Strange and Telltale's back catalogue are clear examples. With more than 20 hours of gameplay and those 3 different endings, I'm hoping Dry Drowning will have plenty in it to keep me coming back. It launches August 2nd on PC, PlayStation 4, the Switch and the Xbox One.
Hamsterdam. A young hamster takes to the streets ready to rumble with a gang that destroyed his home, savaged his town, and took his grandfather hostage.
At the halfway point in this month's rundown, Hamsterdam, our number 5, is another successful Kickstarter project from the summer of last year. You'll play as Pim, a citizen of the town of Hamsterdam, where you'll defend your home and rescue your grandfather from the arch-villain Marlow the Chinchilla and his vermin gang using your highly trained hamster foo fighting style. There's no denying Hamsterdam sure is cute to look at, and unlike other games of this genre, it's not all just about button mashing in this classic arcade type of brawler. Here there are rhythm and precision elements to liven things up. Depending on the platform, combat will also feature movement gestures where you'll use your finger swipes and flicks to attack. With 3 different areas to unlock levels in, some fantastic looking boss battles to play out, and the ability to accessorize Pim's wardrobe, Hamsterdam looks like one of the hidden gems of the summer. Hamsterdam launches August 1st on PC, iOS, Android and the Nintendo Switch.
Hey, it's, I didn't think you'd call.
Yeah, well, how's the search going?
This is no longer just a missing person case, Jess.
You don't sound like yourself. You okay?
At number 4, and from the people who brought us Layers of Fear, Blair Witch was announced as recently as Microsoft's E3 conference back in June, and launches on August 30th. We don't know too much about what Blair Witch will offer, other than it appears to be a first-person psychological horror game that's based on exploration and environmental interaction. I'm honestly hoping the folks at Blooper Team have used similar design and gameplay mechanics as seen in the original Blair Witch project from all the way back in 1999. If you haven't seen it, much of the horror and suspense within that movie came from what the director didn't show, with your mind filling in the gaps, making it an extraordinarily effective and nail-bitingly spooky movie. We do know you'll play as an ex-cop as you head into the Black Hills looking for a missing child. You're able to communicate via a mobile phone in what appears to be a similar concept to the walkie-talkie used in Firewatch. You'll also have a dog called Bullet for company who you're able to command to assist in your search. I'm quietly optimistic about what Blair Witch will do, and hope it's a far cry from the lackluster original games from the movie franchise. Blair Witch comes to the PC and Xbox One. At number 3, and pretty much entirely the work of a single developer who learned about game creation by doing it, code was learned through reading the manual for Unity, while animation, modelling and texturing were grasped by various YouTube tutorials. Dark launches on PC this coming August 15th, and the overall look and feel it seems one heck of an achievement. Dark is all about a boy called Lloyd who becomes trapped within a lucid dream that has formed into a nightmare he's unable to wake from. However, Lloyd soon realises he's able to control certain aspects of his surroundings by bending the laws of physics and manipulating his dream world. By doing so, you'll be able to solve environmentally based puzzles whilst also having to use stealth when around enemies to progress. All in, Dark looks eerily spooky, and I can't help but feel the atmospherics at play will make it for a devilishly creepy experience. At number 2, we have Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey, which comes from one of the creators of the Assassin's Creed series. Now this looks to be a survival type of game with more than a few clever looking twists. You play as an ape, with your role being to guide your creature through millions of years of evolution, although there's no overarching structure narrative, so you can really do as you please. That said, what will keep you moving forwards and fosters the exploration elements of the gameplay are the basic needs of us all, namely hunger, thirst, and the need for shelter and security away from prey. Via your actions and interaction with the world, you'll be able to direct and see the physical and intellectual evolution which are passed down to future generations. Implicit with all this comes another need, the one to be social, where you'll be able to form bonds with other apes, create families and work together to survive. I'm really super interested to see how this one plays out. On the face of things, it's such an ambitious project. It's also the first part of what we're told is an overall trilogy, with 2 other games in the series to follow at a later date. Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey launches on PC August 27th, with console releases expected in December. And at this month's number 1, Gibbous: A Cthulhu Adventure is another Kickstarter-funded project from the team of 3 people based out of Transylvania. You can probably tell just by looking that this is totally hand-painted and uses traditional frame-by-frame animation methods and techniques, and is one of the most beautiful games I've seen in a long time. As for the story, well, Gibbous takes place in the city of Darkham, where a detective is on a quest to find the Necronomicon from the stories and tales of Lovecraft. That being said, someone else has already found the magic book, and having taken it home, they accidentally activate it and turn their cat into a walking, talking, cynical ball of fur that just wants to go back to being a cat. Launching on PC August 7th and billed as a comedy cosmic horror game with over 60 fully voiced characters and over 12,000 lines of dialogue, it will be curious to see how the team have woven the comedy aspects into the game. Comedy is traditionally hard to nail the right balance within these sort of things, so it will take a deft touch for Gibbous to pull this one off. In any case, I love the look of it and what it's trying to achieve, and to my mind it's a worthy winner of my August 2019 Indie Game Countdown. So, which games are you most interested in seeing this August? Let me know in the usual places, and if you haven't, now would be a great time to subscribe, not forgetting to click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Many thanks for watching, and I'll see you here next time on Get Indie Gaming.